Hi, this is Mr. Favis. This video leads you to draw the human body systems. This picture shows how and why blood moves through your body. I'm drawing in real time, so if I'm going too slow, feel free to jump forward in the video. Enjoy!
Okay, gonna make like a little square here. I guess one over here. Little thing, little rectangle, like a few rectangles. Just kind of. All right. Now, over here on the right side, we're gonna draw a mother ghost and a baby ghost. Okay. Over here we're gonna draw a potato. In the potato, I'm gonna draw an upside down tree. That's what the lungs about. After lung, blood returns to the heart. Pump the heart, always doing its part. Stomach and intestines break down faster to the blood without a sound. Blood brings. Okay. Now, hanging from that tree, I'm gonna draw grapes. Lots of grapes hanging from the tree. I'm going to fill this area with grapes. I'm drawing them pretty much the same size. You can draw smaller ones, which should be like more further back, some bigger ones. Okay, looking back, okay. See my grapes there. Then over here, I'm gonna draw my intestines. I'm gonna draw this with U's. One U this way, another U this way, one U this way, another U this way, U this way, another U this way. Okay, and then down here I'm going to draw a basic cell. You can draw, it doesn't have to be all the way around, you can draw kind of a blobby shape. Make a little nucleus in here. There's the nuclear pores. A few little organelles in here. Do some rough ER, put little ribosomes in there. Mitochondria. Alright. Cool. Now I got my oops. Let me pause and come back to that. Okay. Now let me kind of go over my shapes a little bit. Just gonna check it out a little. Go over some of my lines a little bit. My pencil was breaking. Okay. Now, I'm gonna connect. Oh, let me draw a little harder on my heart. I love you. There. Okay, now I'm gonna connect this stuff
some arrows showing how the blood moves around. Okay, so now I have my cell, all the cells. I have my intestines, I have my heart. I've got the 4 chambers. This heart is facing out at you, so this is the left side and this is the right side. The left side's bigger. And over here I have my lungs. Let's pause there. Next I'm gonna color this. I'm gonna start with red and blue. So I got 2 colors, a red and a blue. All the blood from the lungs is red. So it goes red, this is red, this is red. So first I'm gonna make sure I got the blue and the red right. So this is my red side because it's after the lungs. And the blood is red. And this is the red tube going from the lungs back to the heart. The red tube's going from the heart to the intestines. And the red tube going from the intestines to the cell. Now at the cell, it uses up the oxygen and the blood becomes blue. So now we have blue. So we got blue blood coming back. This side of the heart, the smaller side, is blue. Oops. And this tube going out to the lungs is blue. Okay, so the first thing I drew is my red and my blue. And that's the most important part in a way that shows how the blood is moving around here in terms of coloring. That we have the left side of the heart that's red with oxygenated blood, and we have the right side of the heart that's blue with the deoxygenated blood after the oxygen is used up at the cell. We color in some other parts. I think I'll use orange. I'm going to color these orange. And these are the alveoli, which are little air sacs in the lungs. And this is where some magic happens, where the blood meets the air. And we'll look at this in a little more detail, but these are the air sacs where the oxygen is going to come into the blood, making it red, and the CO2 is going to go out of the blood, breathing it out, because if the CO2 builds up, that's poison for the body. So let's see. I think I'll take a green, and I'm going to draw my pipe coming down from the mouth and the nose, bringing air down into the lungs. Make this pipe green. This is the upside down tree that I made, which is the pipe bringing oxygen down into your blood and taking the CO2 out of your blood. Okay. Next, go ahead and color my intestines brown. Kind of a poop color. This isn't where the poop is, but this is where the food is going into your blood. And your stomach has broken down the food into little molecules called nutrients. And this is where the nutrients are going to pass into your blood, bringing food to your body and food to your cells. In order to use that food, the cells need oxygen in order to burn it. And when they burn it, the oxygen gets used up when it burns your food, and it releases the CO2. Okay, that's pretty cool. Let's see. Pick a color. I think I'll use a gray. Color around the heart a little bit. Tissue around the chambers of the heart, the muscles. All right, that's pretty cool. Now let me label this a little bit. First of all, this is the main organ of the circulatory system, which is the heart here in the middle of the picture. We have our 4 chambers of the heart. Over here is our cell. Over here is our lungs, the main organ of the respiratory system. And over here we have our intestines. Oops. Hold on. A little trouble there. Let's write intestines over here. Intestines. Okay. As we're doing, sometimes things don't work out exactly, and we just change it as we go. Okay, now, here we have the oxygen going into the lungs and into the blood through the alveoli. And the CO2 is coming out of the lungs. And here at the intestines, we have nutrients coming into the blood. And at the cell, it's bringing the nutrients and the oxygen, the nutrients it got from the intestines and the food, your digestive system, the oxygen it got from your lungs, and the air, your respiratory system. The cell burns the nutrients to make energy, and it uses up the oxygen. The nutrients become waste, which is going to come out into your blood and go out through your urine. And it also gives out CO2, which is why the blood turns from red to blue here at the cell, because the cell used up the oxygen and released CO2. This CO2 is going to come around to the lungs to be released out of the body, and the waste will go to your kidneys to go out as through your urine. So that's it. Beautiful illustration of how your circulatory system, your respiratory system, your digestive system work together to serve every single cell in your body.
Okay. First I'm gonna make some little rectangles. One for the middle. One for over here. One just for over here. One for down here. Little boxes. Okay, in the center, I'm gonna draw two ghosts. Mother ghost and the baby ghost. Over here, I'm going to draw a potato. And inside the potato, I'm going to draw an upside down tree.
Dad, watch this. I made a flicking canine knife. Look.
Okay. Hold on, Sammy. I'm doing something.
It goes really good. Watch
Cool.
this.
Hold on one sec. I'm in the middle of something. All right, so I'm doing this, drawing this upside down tree. That's my son, Sammy. Sammy, can you close the door? Okay. Next, from this tree, I'm going to draw grapes. Grapes hanging from the tree. I'm going to fill this bottom area. Some bigger. You can go ahead and draw some big. And some smaller. Okay. Some smaller. Okay, next. Smoothing this out a little bit. I'm gonna draw my intestines over here by drawing my U's. U. Gives me my intestines. And down here, and draw a cell. Give it some organelles. Little endoplasmic reticuli. Give it some ribosomes. Mitochondria. A little lysosome, vacuole. Golgi. Golgius. All right. Now, I'm going to go ahead and connect. There's a tube connecting the cell to the heart. Tube connecting the intestines down to the cell. Tube connecting out from the heart to the lungs. Connecting over to back to the heart. Connecting out. All right, one sec. Sammy, I told you, wait a sec.
Wait, one last thing.
Okay. So I got okay. So I got the do outline of the heart here. Now I have a model for my respiratory system, circulatory system, digestive system, and how it works to serve every cell. Next, let's color it. First, we're going to start with the red and the blue. That's the most important part in terms of the details. So we got the blood coming from the lungs, which is red. Red blood coming from the lung. So this is coming in this direction. As I color this part, I'll put the arrows. And that from the lungs comes back into the heart right here. And then that left atrium pumps it down here into the left ventricle. So we're going to color this red too. From here, the next pump pumps out the aorta. And that red oxygenated blood goes over to the intestines. Next, I'm going to color the tube down from the intestines over to the cell. Now in the intestines, it's going to pick up the nutrients and bring the nutrients and the oxygen down to the cell. Now at the cell's going to burn the food and use up the oxygen, and it's going to release CO2. When it takes the oxygen out of the blood, it turns the blood bluish. So we're going to draw this blue colored blood coming from the cell. We have the blood coming out from the heart, down from the intestines, down to the cell. Now we have at the cell, the blood is changing from red to blue. Now we have the blue blood coming and returning back to the heart. We're gonna draw this smaller right side of the heart. We're going to draw this blue. This is the blue blood that's wanting to get the oxygen. It has the carbon dioxide that it needs to release. Now this pumps this blood out to the lungs. So we have the blue blood coming out to the lungs. So we have our oxygenated blood at the lungs. It's red coming back to the heart. The heart pumps it out to the whole body. It comes out to the intestines. It picks up the nutrients, passes that down, the nutrients and the oxygen down to the cell. The cell burns the food, uses up the oxygen, releases CO2, and now the blood changes from red to blue. And now the blue blood is pumped back to the heart, out to the lungs to pick up the oxygen, releases CO2. Finish coloring this in. I'm gonna color the alveoli, which are the air sacs. Color those orange. This is where the air comes in and meets the blood. The oxygen's going to come back into the blood, turning the blood red, and the carbon dioxide is going to leave the blood, getting breathed out. The oxygen in and CO2 out. Go ahead and this is the tube coming down into the lungs. And this is bringing the air down into the lungs, into the blood, and bringing the oxygen in and taking the CO2 out. So there's the tube going down into the lungs. Okay. So I'm going to come over and go ahead and color the intestines brown. This is where the stomach has broken down the food, and the intestines now pass the little molecules of food called nutrients out into the blood. So those nutrients are passing out into the blood, the food. This is where the cells are gonna get their food. Okay, it's cool. Now let's go ahead and color the muscle of the heart a little bit gray. This is around the valves and the chambers of the heart, the muscle of the heart. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and label this. Label the heart here in the middle, the main organ of the circulatory system, the heart. Over here I got the lungs. Here I have the intestines. And here, the stars of the show, the cell. Let me go ahead and hello. Hello? Yeah, okay. Let me go ahead and label this a little bit more. Over here at the lungs, we have the oxygen coming into the lungs, being breathed in. And we have the CO2 being breathed out. So we have the oxygen in and the CO2 out at the lungs. Over here at the intestines, right here we have the nutrients, which are little molecules of food passing into the blood. Now here the red blood is bringing the nutrients, which is the food for the cell, and the oxygen, which allows the cell to burn the food, break it down and take its energy. Now after the cell burns the food and uses up the oxygen, Now the oxygen turns into CO2. The blood loses its oxygen and the blood turns blue. And from the nutrients, we now have wastes. This is released through the urine. The CO2 comes back to the lungs and is breathed out. So this is basically it, the overview illustration for how the circulatory system, respiratory system, and digestive systems work together to serve every single cell in the body.